Imagine a night shimmering with the kind of opulence most of us only ever glimpse in movies. Crystal chandeliers blaze, reflecting off polished marble floors, and a sea of designer suits and dazzling gowns. This isn't just a party, it's a spectacle of wealth and influence. And right there, near the entrance, a woman stands, her silver evening gown a quiet contrast to the vibrant chaos around her. Her name is Simone, and her stomach is churning with a cocktail of dread and defiance, because somewhere in this glittering crowd, her past is waiting to ambush her. This isn't just a story about riches. It's about invisibility, the crushing weight of betrayal, and the explosive power of a second chance that rewrites destiny in front of a stunned world. Simone is here, at the Grand Imperial Hotel, not just as a guest, but as a ghost haunting a life that once was, bracing herself for an encounter with the man who made her feel like nothing at all, her ex-husband, Julian. She spots him by the champagne fountain naturally. Julian, always the center of attention, with that confident smile that used to make her heart flutter, but now only leaves her cold. On his arm is Brooke, his new wife, the woman he left Simone for. Brooke is a vision in red, a dress that screams privilege, a stark reminder of the financial struggles Simone has endured since their divorce. Julian looks right past Simone, his gaze sweeping over her as if she were a piece of furniture, an empty tray held by a waiter, or simply nothing. This isn't just a fictional moment of disregard. It's a gut-wrench punch that far too many people experience. To be rendered invisible by someone who once saw your every flaw and every beauty, who once promised forever, it's a profound violation of trust and self-worth. Simone feels it like a physical blow to her chest, but she forces her feet to move, her face to stay calm. Why? Because a small, foolish part of her had hoped for a flicker of recognition, a moment that would acknowledge her existence, even as a painful memory. When that flicker doesn't come, it's a stark confirmation of how completely she's been erased. And in that moment, the weight of her past, the shame, the hurt, it all converges into an unbearable pressure. She makes her way to the bar, needing a moment, a glass of water, perhaps something stronger to dull the edge of the pain. As she walks, the high-pitched giggle of Brooke and Julian's deep voice talking about their Monaco vacation drifts over her, a cruel soundtrack to her humiliation. The bartender gives her a sympathetic look, and Simone wonders if her pain is etched across her face for everyone to see. This is the man she spent 8 years with, the man she cooked for, supported, loved with everything she had, and now she is utterly invisible to him. This profound sense of invisibility, this feeling of being utterly disregarded by someone who once knew your deepest secrets and shared your most intimate moments, is a pain that transcends the specifics of Simone's story. It's a universal ache that resonates with anyone who has ever felt overlooked, dismissed, or replaced. Think about how many people, especially women, dedicate years of their lives to a relationship, building a home, supporting a partner's dreams, only to find themselves cast aside when their utility, in the eyes of their partner, diminishes. They pour their energy, their hopes, their very identity into this shared life, only to be told through actions or words that they've let themselves go or stopped being interesting. This isn't just about a marriage ending. It's about the brutal erosion of self-worth that happens when you're blamed for someone else's betrayal. The room begins to quiet. A man with gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses, Mr. Patterson, Theodore Whitmore's head attorney, taps a microphone on the stage. He announces Theodore Whitmore's peaceful passing 2 nights ago. Gasps ripple through the room. Simone feels tears prick her eyes. Theodore had been like a father to her these past 2 years, seeing value in her when no one else did, giving her a chance when she had nothing. Now, his will is to be read publicly, an event Theodore himself had insisted upon, for reasons Simone couldn't yet grasp. Everyone knows Theodore Whitmore was worth billions. Whoever inherits his fortune would become one of the most powerful people in the country. The tension in the room is palpable, everyone wondering, who will it be? Mr. Patterson begins to read from the will. Simone's hands tremble. The document, witnessed by multiple attorneys 6 months ago, right after she had organized Theodore's birthday, an event where he told her she reminded him of his late wife, strong, kind, and real, held the answer to a future no one could predict. Then, the words that shatter the silence. I, Theodore James Whitmore, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. After much consideration and observation, I leave the entirety of my estate to Miss Simone Clark. The room explodes. Confusion, shock, camera flashes from news reporters. Simone stands frozen, certain she's heard wrong. That couldn't be her name. But Mr. Patterson continues, his voice rising above the commotion. Miss Clark has demonstrated the character, integrity, and wisdom necessary to steward this fortune responsibly. She has been like a daughter to me, and I trust her completely with my legacy. The estimated total value of this estate is $4.7 billion. $4.7 billion. The room spins. Everyone is turning, pointing, whispering. Security guards move toward her. And there, in the middle of the crowd, Julian's face has gone completely white, his mouth agape. Brooke looks as if she's been doused with ice water. They are staring at her now. Everyone is staring at her. The invisible woman is invisible no more. This is the kind of moment that feels plucked from a fantasy, yet it holds a truth that resonates deeply. The profound, almost divine, reversal of fortune that can happen when true character is finally recognized. It's a public vindication, a moment of triumph so monumental it reshapes not just Simone's future, but the very way she is perceived by the world, and more importantly, by herself. The shift from utterly disregarded to undeniably powerful happens in an instant, and the ripple effect on Julian and Brooke is immediate, visceral, and utterly satisfying. It's a powerful illustration that sometimes the universe truly does deliver a reckoning. But how did Simone, a woman who felt so invisible just moments before, arrive at such an extraordinary crossroads? We have to rewind 3 years, to a life she once believed was perfect. 3 years earlier, Simone woke up in a nice 3-bedroom house, a yard big enough for the children she and Julian planned to have. The sun streamed through the curtains, birds sang outside. Julian was already up, ambitious and hardworking, qualities she deeply admired. She found him in the kitchen, sharp suit, gulping coffee, glued to his phone. "Morning," she'd said, offering to make him eggs. "No time," he'd replied without looking up. "Early meeting, big potential account." This idyllic scene, the comfortable home, the ambitious husband, the dreams of children, it's a picture many aspire to. But how often do these seemingly perfect lives mask a brewing storm beneath the surface? Simone, like so many others, had invested her entire identity into this vision. She had quit her own job at a marketing firm 2 years prior, encouraged by Julian to focus on managing their home, promising it would be better once they had kids, that his income was enough. She agreed, trusting him, loving him, believing they were building a life together. This is a critical point that speaks to a common vulnerability, particularly for women. The narrative of the supportive wife often encourages a relinquishing of professional autonomy in favor of domestic partnership. While there's nothing inherently wrong with this choice, it often comes with a subtle, insidious cost, a gradual erosion of independent identity and financial security. When Julian encouraged Simone to quit her job, he was not just suggesting a lifestyle change. He was, perhaps unwittingly, laying the groundwork for her future powerlessness. She trusted him, and in doing so, tied her entire well-being to his stability and fidelity. It's a risk many take, often with devastating consequences when that trust is broken. We see this in countless real-life scenarios, where individuals, often women, find themselves financially dependent and utterly vulnerable after a relationship ends, having sacrificed their careers for the sake of the partnership. As weeks turned into months, Julian's late nights grew more frequent. He was always apologetic, stressed, promising things would calm down soon. Simone tried to be understanding, keeping the house perfect, making his favorite meals, giving him space. But something felt wrong. A distance was growing, unspoken but palpable. When he was home, his phone was his constant companion. Conversations about their day felt forced, met with annoyance or distraction. In bed, he was always too tired. This is the slow, agonizing fade of a relationship, a phenomenon many viewers will unfortunately recognize. It's the emotional gaslighting that gnaws at your sanity, making you question your own perceptions. Maybe I'm overreacting, you tell yourself. He's just stressed. The subtle shifts in behavior, the phone addiction, the lack of engagement, the excuses for intimacy, these aren't just minor irritations. They are red flags waving in a gathering storm. The something felt wrong isn't paranoia, it's intuition, screaming at you from beneath the layers of denial and hope. It's a profoundly isolating experience, being in a marriage but feeling utterly alone, like you're living with a stranger. One evening, Simone suggested a weekend away, just the two of them, trying to reignite the spark. Julian barely looked up. "I can't take time off right now, Simone. You know how busy work is." His voice, when he finally spoke, was sharp, harder than she'd ever heard. "Why can't you understand that I'm trying to build something here? I'm working hard for us, for our future." Tears stung Simone's eyes, but she blinked them back, apologizing. The tension was thick. Julian finished his meal in silence, then retreated to his home office, closing the door. Simone cleaned the kitchen alone, her mind racing with questions she was afraid to ask. This scene is a masterclass in emotional manipulation. Julian isn't just dismissing Simone's needs. He's weaponizing his work and their supposed future against her. He makes her feel guilty for even asking for quality time, twisting his betrayal into a noble sacrifice for them. This is a tactic used by many who are hiding something, deflecting attention, and making their partner feel like the unreasonable one. The "I'm working hard for us" is a classic line that justifies absence, secrecy, and emotional distance. Simone's reaction, blinking back tears, apologizing, speaks volumes about how deeply ingrained this dynamic has become, how much she's been conditioned to prioritize his needs, even at the expense of her own emotional well-being. It's a painful mirror reflecting the sacrifices many make, only to find them unappreciated, or worse, exploited. A few weeks later, Simone ran into her friend Patricia at the grocery store. Patricia, who used to work with Julian, lowered her voice, asking, "How are things with Julian? Is everything okay?" Simone's stomach dropped. Patricia had seen Julian having dinner with Brooke, his assistant, downtown. "They looked pretty cozy," Patricia admitted, though quickly adding it was probably just a work thing. But it wasn't just a work thing, and Simone knew it. That night, she lay awake, Julian snoring beside her. Brooke, young, blonde, efficient. Julian had mentioned her, always in a professional context. Simone tried to tell herself she was paranoid. Julian wouldn't cheat. They were married. They loved each other. They had plans. But doubt, once planted, grows like a weed. And it does. That tiny seed of doubt, given a sliver of fertile ground, can take root and consume your entire mental landscape. Suddenly, Simone begins to notice things she'd been blind to. The way Julian smiled at his phone, the new cologne, his sudden interest in the gym and updating his wardrobe, the subtle pulling away when she tried to kiss him. These are not isolated incidents. They are puzzle pieces, slowly but surely forming a picture she desperately doesn't want to see. This is the agonizing phase of discovery, where denial battles with intuition, and every seemingly innocuous detail becomes a potential clue. One afternoon, when Julian was in the shower, Simone did something she'd never done before. She picked up his phone. Her hands shook as she tried their anniversary date as a passcode. It didn't work. He changed it. That was the moment Simone knew, deep in her gut, that her perfect life was a lie. You don't change your phone password unless you have something to hide. She looked out at their backyard, where she'd imagined their future children playing, her chest tight. Julian would be out soon, ready with another excuse, and Simone would smile and say, "Okay," because she didn't yet have the courage to confront the undeniable truth. Her marriage was dying, and she had no idea how to save it. This particular moment, the changed phone password, is incredibly potent and universally relatable. It's the concrete evidence that shatters all lingering illusions, a digital lock on a hidden life. It represents the final, undeniable crack in the facade. For anyone who has ever suspected infidelity, this kind of discovery is less about surprise and more about confirmation. A heartbreaking validation of every gut feeling, every nagging doubt. The subsequent feeling of paralysis, of knowing the truth but lacking the courage to confront it, is also a profound aspect of the betrayal narrative. It's the moment where self-preservation clashes with the overwhelming fear of the unknown, of dismantling an entire life. Simone isn't just confronting Julian's infidelity. She's confronting the unraveling of her own identity. The truth, as it always does, came crashing down on a cold October evening, 3 months after Patricia's unsettling revelation. Julian had been especially distant, barely speaking, coming home later and later. Simone felt like she was living with a stranger. That evening, Julian announced a 3-day work conference in Chicago. While he packed, Simone, trying to sound casual, asked what hotel he was staying at. "The Sheraton downtown," he said without hesitation. "Just in case I need to reach you," she'd offered. He gave her an annoyed look, telling her to just call his cell. He zipped up his suitcase with unnecessary force, off to bed for an early flight. Simone sat on the bed, staring at his suitcase. Something felt wrong about this trip, about everything lately. Before she could talk herself out of it, she reached for his briefcase. Inside, tucked into a front pocket, was a hotel reservation printout. The Grand Lux Hotel. A suite reservation for 2 guests. Check in tomorrow, check out in 3 days. The Grand Lux wasn't a business hotel. It was romantic, expensive, known for couples packages. Her breath hitched. She put the paper back, the shower's sound suddenly deafening. She could confront him now, scream, cry, demand the truth. But a part of her still wanted to be wrong. This is the quiet agony of confirmation, where the pieces of the puzzle don't just fit, they snap into place with a sickening thud. The Grand Lux Hotel reservation isn't just evidence. It's a symbolic slap in the face. It reveals a level of planning, a blatant disregard for their shared life that goes beyond a casual indiscretion. The suite for 2 guests at a romantic hotel, it's a deliberate choice, not a mistake. And Simone's internal struggle, the desperate wish to be wrong even as she holds undeniable proof, is a poignant reflection of how deeply we cling to the illusion of our relationships, even when they're crumbling around us. It's a moment of profound internal conflict, where the desire for truth battles the fear of total devastation. The next morning, Simone pretended to be asleep as Julian left. After his car pulled out, she got up, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table in a fog. Maybe it was a mistake, maybe a client. But deep down, she knew. That evening, she made a decision. She called the Grand Lux Hotel, asked to be connected to Julian's room. The receptionist put her through without hesitation. It rang twice. A woman's voice, young and breathless, answered, "Hello?" Simone's blood turned to ice. "Who is this?" she demanded, her voice steady, despite the seismic shift happening within her. A pause, then a hesitant, "Who is this?" "This is Simone, Julian's wife. Now tell me who the hell you are." Fumbling, muffled voices. Then Julian's voice, not apologetic, but annoyed. "Simone, you're with her, aren't you? With Brooke?" Another pause. "Yes." That one word shattered something inside Simone. She'd known, but hearing him confirm it made it undeniably real. "How long?" she asked, her voice surprisingly calm. Julian sighed as if she were the problem. "A year, maybe a little more." A year. Over a year of lies, late nights, work dinners, gaslighting. "I want a divorce," Simone said, the words coming out before she'd fully thought them through, but once spoken, she knew they were right. "Fine," Julian said. No hesitation. No fight for their marriage. "We can talk about the details when I get back." He hung up. 8 years of marriage ended with a 3-minute phone call and the word, "fine." Simone didn't cry. She felt too numb. She just sat in the darkening kitchen, staring at nothing. This phone call is the absolute nadir of Simone's marital breakdown, a masterclass in callous indifference. Julian's annoyance, his sigh, his immediate and emotionless fine. These are not the reactions of a man caught in a moment of weakness, but of a man who has already moved on, who views his wife as an inconvenience. The brevity of the call, the stark contrast between 8 years of life and 3 minutes of dismissal, is heartbreaking. It highlights the devastating reality that for some, relationships can be discarded with the same casualness as an unwanted item. And Simone's numbness, her inability to cry, is a common trauma response, a protective shield against the overwhelming pain. It's the quiet before the storm, the moment where everything that was ceases to be. 3 days later, Julian came home, and he wasn't alone. Brooke was with him. They walked into the house like they owned it, like Simone was the intruder. "We need to talk," Julian said, not even looking embarrassed. Brooke stood beside him, her hand in his, a look that might have been pity or triumph on her face. "You brought her here?" Simone's anger, a slow burn, started to ignite through her numbness. "To our home?" "It's my home too," Julian said, "and Brooke and I are together now. You need to accept that." Simone laughed, a harsh, unfamiliar sound. "Accept it? You cheated on me for over a year, and you want me to accept it?" Then came the knives. "You let yourself go," Julian said, his voice cold. "You stopped caring about your appearance. You stopped being interesting. All you did was stay home and watch TV. Brooke makes me feel alive again." Each word was a brutal, calculated strike. Simone looked at the man she'd loved and saw a stranger, a cruel stranger who blamed her for his own betrayal. "Get out," she said quietly. Julian repeated, "This is my house too. If anyone should leave, it's you." And that's when Simone realized how bad this was going to be. Julian wasn't just leaving her, he was going to try and take everything. She would have to fight for scraps. This confrontation is a textbook example of gaslighting and victim blaming taken to its cruelest extreme. Julian's words, "You let yourself go, you stopped being interesting," are designed to dismantle Simone's self-worth, to shift the blame for his infidelity onto her. This isn't just about his affair, it's about control, about absolving himself of responsibility by making Simone the architect of her own demise. This emotional violence, where a partner rewrites the narrative to justify their actions, is deeply damaging. It highlights a common dynamic where the partner who sacrifices their career or personal development for the relationship is then punished for that very sacrifice. In real-life examples, we hear stories of women, after years of dedicating themselves to family, being told they're no longer exciting or ambitious enough, leading to devastating divorces where they often lose everything they've built. Julian's declaration that Simone should leave her own home is the ultimate power play, a clear signal that this wasn't just about ending a marriage, but about erasing her entire existence. The divorce took 6 months. Julian's lawyer was aggressive, expensive. Simone, unable to afford a good attorney, settled for a cheap one more interested in quick resolution than fighting for her rights. Because she hadn't worked in 2 years, and the house was in Julian's name, she got almost nothing. A small settlement that would last maybe 6 months, no alimony. When the papers were finally signed, Simone walked out of the courthouse feeling utterly empty. No home, no job, no savings. A few suitcases of clothes and personal items. That was all that remained from 8 years of her life. 2 months later, Julian married Brooke. Simone saw the photos on social media before blocking them both. They looked happy, glowing, like a perfect couple, as if Simone had merely been an unfortunate obstacle in their love story. This paints a stark, all too common picture of the devastating financial realities post-divorce, especially for those who've taken on traditional roles. The narrative of love is enough often crumbles under the weight of legal and financial battles, leaving the less powerful party, often the one who sacrificed career for family, in ruin. Simone's situation is a powerful indictment of a system that often fails to protect the vulnerable. She wasn't just losing a husband, she was losing her financial independence, her home, her social circle, and essentially her place in the world. The image of Julian and Brooke's perfect wedding, flaunted on social media, is the final, cruel twist of the knife designed to make Simone feel utterly worthless. It's a public declaration that her suffering is their triumph, and it further reinforces that deep sense of invisibility. Simone moved into a tiny studio apartment in an unfamiliar part of town. She took a job with a catering company, barely making enough to cover rent and food. She sold most of her nice clothes and jewelry just to make ends meet. Alone in her studio, she would lie on her second-hand mattress, staring at the ceiling, wondering how her life had fallen apart so completely. She'd done everything right, been a good wife, supported her husband, kept a nice home, and still she ended up alone, broken, invisible. The next 6 months were the hardest of Simone's life. Waking up in her studio apartment with peeling paint and a broken heater, reality would crash back in. Her catering job was exhausting. Long hours, demanding clients, cleaning up after parties. The pay was minimum wage. She learned to stretch every dollar, cooking cheap meals, walking instead of taking buses. She watched others live the life she used to have, feeling like an outsider. But the worst part wasn't the financial struggle, it was the loneliness. Her friends from her marriage had disappeared, choosing Julian's side. Old college friends had drifted away. Her parents had passed years ago, and she had no siblings. She was truly alone. This period of Simone's life is crucial because it's where she hits rock bottom, a place many find themselves after profound loss. It's the raw, unfiltered reality of starting over from scratch, not just financially, but emotionally and socially. The peeling paint, the broken heater, the secondhand mattress, these are not just details. They are symbols of a life stripped bare. The loss of a social circle, the awkwardness with old friends, the profound isolation, these are aspects of divorce that are often overlooked, yet they can be as devastating as the financial ruin. Simone's feeling of being an outsider, looking in on the life she once had, is a universal experience of grief and displacement. It's a powerful testament to the fact that emotional and social support are just as vital as financial stability in navigating life's storms. Her quiet admission, she'd done everything right, and somehow she'd still ended up here alone, broken, invisible, encapsulates the bewildering injustice felt by many who play by the rules, only to have their lives shattered. One Friday night, 8 months after her divorce, Simone came home from a brutal wedding event, exhausted and smelling of spilled champagne. Her studio was dark and cold, a neighbor's TV blaring through thin walls, the sink dripping. She looked around at the mattress on the floor, the plastic lawn chair, the humming refrigerator. This was her life now. This was what she'd been reduced to. Something inside her broke. She slid down the door, and for the first time since Julian left, she let herself truly cry. Deep, gasping sobs for her lost marriage, her lost home, the future that would never happen, the woman she used to be. She cried until she had no tears left, wondering if this was how the rest of her life would be, if she had peaked at 32. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mr. Rodriguez, her boss, assigning her to a private dinner party at a mansion in the wealthy part of town. "Good pay," he said. Simone stared at the text, then responded that she'd be there. This raw, visceral moment of breakdown is profoundly human. It's the release of months, if not years, of suppressed pain and grief. The details, the dripping sink, the blaring TV, the mattress on the floor, amplify the sense of desolation. This isn't a tidy, cinematic crying scene. It's a desperate, guttural sob that many can relate to. It's the moment of ultimate surrender, where the pretense of strength finally shatters, and you allow yourself to feel the full weight of your brokenness. Yet even in this profound despair, the text message from her boss acts as a tiny, almost imperceptible lifeline. It's a reminder that life, however bleak, still demands your presence, still offers the possibility of another step forward. This isn't about being instantly healed. It's about choosing to show up, even when every fiber of your being wants to give up. This quiet act of defiance, choosing to answer the call, is the first subtle shift in Simone's journey. It's an example for anyone who has felt lost. Sometimes, the first step towards healing isn't a grand gesture, but simply showing up, one excruciating day at a time. The next evening, Simone arrived at the massive, movie-like estate, all white columns and huge windows. She parked her beat-up car in the back, checking her reflection. Tired, but professional in black slacks and a button-up. Inside, the kitchen buzzed with activity. Mr. Rodriguez gave her instructions. "You'll be serving and clearing plates. Remember, be invisible. These people don't want to notice the help." Simone almost laughed. She'd had a lot of practice being invisible lately. The dinner service began. She carried plates that cost more than her weekly grocery budget, moving through the dining room like a ghost, refilling wine glasses, clearing plates. She was good at this, anticipating needs, moving quietly and efficiently. But halfway through the third course, something went wrong. A middle-aged man, clearly too much wine in him, started getting loud and aggressive with the woman next to him, grabbing her wrist when she tried to pull away. Other guests shifted uncomfortably, but no one intervened. The woman looked frightened. This is a critical juncture. Simone, the invisible help, is witnessing a public display of harassment, an ugly underside to the glittering facade of wealth. The inaction of the other guests, despite their discomfort, highlights a common societal flaw: the reluctance to intervene, to disrupt the polite atmosphere, even when someone is clearly in distress. It's easier to look away, to pretend not to see. This is where Simone's inherent character, her fundamental decency, is about to be tested. She's been told to be invisible, to not be noticed, but her moral compass is about to override those instructions. This isn't about being an event planner, it's about being a human being. Simone didn't think, she just moved. She walked over to the table with a pitcher of ice water, accidentally tripped, and spilled the entire thing directly into the drunk man's lap. He jumped up with a shout, ice cubes scattering. The woman pulled her arm free and quickly moved away. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry," Simone exclaimed, her voice a perfect mix of horrified and apologetic. "I'm so clumsy. Let me get you some towels." The man was furious, sputtering about suing the catering company. But another voice cut through the chaos. "That's quite enough, George." The speaker was an elderly man at the head of the table, white hair, sharp blue eyes. His voice made everyone go quiet. "The young lady simply had an accident. You should go home and change. We'll continue dinner without you." George, though fuming, knew better than to challenge this man. He stormed out, dripping water. The elderly man looked at Simone. "That was well done, Miss Clark. Simone Clark. Thank you for your quick thinking. Please continue with dinner." This accident is Simone's defining moment, a subtle yet powerful act of defiance that showcases her true character. It's quick thinking, empathy, and courage wrapped in a perfectly plausible excuse. This wasn't about being clumsy. It was about protecting someone vulnerable when no one else would. The elderly man, Theodore Whitmore, instantly recognizes this. He sees beyond the spilled water, beyond the uniform, straight to the integrity and strength of the person underneath. This is the difference between simply observing and truly seeing. Theodore's immediate and decisive action, dismissing the aggressive guest, further highlights his own sense of justice and his sharp perception. It's a moment that subtly shifts the entire narrative from one of passive suffering to active impact for Simone. Simone retreated to the kitchen, heart pounding. Mr. Rodriguez pulled her aside, hissing, "What were you thinking? You can't just dump water on a guest." "He was hurting that woman," Simone replied quietly. Mr. Rodriguez sighed. "Just be more careful." But the evening continued without incident. As dinner ended and guests left, Simone was cleaning up when a voice cleared behind her. It was the elderly man. "Miss Clark," he said, "I'm Theodore Whitmore. This is my home." Simone recognized the name. Billionaire, philanthropist, self-made man. "Mr. Whitmore," she responded, "I hope the rest of dinner was satisfactory." "It was excellent," he said, "but I didn't come here to discuss the food. I wanted to thank you properly for what you did tonight. That took courage." Simone shrugged. "Anyone would have done the same." "You'd be surprised how often people choose to look away," Theodore countered. His eyes were kind, but assessing, seeing past her uniform. "Tell me, Miss Clark, are you happy working for the catering company?" The question caught her off guard. "I'm grateful for the work, sir." "That's not what I asked." Simone met his eyes and found herself being honest. "No, I'm not happy, but I'm surviving, and that's enough for now." Theodore nodded slowly. "I'm looking for someone to coordinate my private events, dinner parties, charity galas, that sort of thing. It would pay considerably more than you're making now. Would you be interested?" Simone's heart skipped a beat. "Are you serious?" "I'm always serious about business, Miss Clark. I've been watching you tonight. You're professional, observant, and you have good instincts. Those are rare qualities." He pulled out a business card. "Think about it and call my assistant next week if you're interested. We'll discuss terms." He left before Simone could fully process what had happened. She stared at the gold-embossed card. Driving home, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Maybe, just maybe, her luck was starting to change. This interaction is the genesis of Simone's second chance, a direct consequence of her integrity. Theodore Whitmore isn't just offering a job. He's offering a lifeline, a recognition of value that Julian had so crupulently denied. His question, "Are you happy?" isn't casual. It's a profound invitation to introspection, a challenge to move beyond mere survival. Theodore, a man who built an empire, understands that true talent often hides in plain sight, disguised by circumstances. He saw Simone's quick thinking, her empathy, her quiet professionalism, qualities far more valuable than any polished resume. This is a powerful message about mentorship and the transformative impact of someone truly believing in you. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest opportunities arise from unexpected places, not through conventional paths, but through acts of genuine character. It's also a stark contrast to Julian, who was only interested in how Simone served him. Theodore is interested in how Simone serves her own potential. Simone spent the entire weekend staring at Theodore Whitmore's business card, half convinced she'd imagined it. Men like him didn't just offer jobs to struggling women they'd met once. But the card was real. She picked it up a dozen times, her finger hovering over her phone, plagued by what-ifs. What if it was a mistake? What if he'd forgotten? What if it was a test? By Monday morning, she'd almost talked herself out of calling. She went to her catering job, helping set up a corporate lunch. Mr. Rodriguez, in a bad mood, snapped orders, criticizing everything. "Simone, those napkins are folded wrong. Do them again. The glasses have water spots. Clean them better. Move faster." By noon, Simone was exhausted and frustrated. During her lunch break, eating a peanut butter sandwich in her car, she stared at Theodore's card. This was her future if nothing changed. Low pay, demanding bosses, struggling to make rent. Before she could change her mind again, she dialed. A professional voice answered, "Mr. Whitmore's office, this is Rebecca speaking." "Hi, my name is Simone Clark. Mr. Whitmore gave me his card and said to call about a possible job." "Oh yes, Miss Clark. Mr. Whitmore has been expecting your call. Can you come in tomorrow at 2 o'clock for an interview?" Simone's heart raced. Yes, I can do that." This moment of decision, fueled by utter frustration, is a powerful reminder that sometimes the catalyst for change isn't a sudden burst of courage, but the unbearable weight of stagnation. Simone's internal battle, the fear, the doubt, the self-sabotage, is incredibly relatable. We often talk ourselves out of opportunities before we even try, fearing rejection or the unknown. But the contrast of her miserable present, the demanding boss, the unending struggle, provides the necessary push. It's the realization that the risk of trying, of potentially failing, is less terrifying than the certainty of remaining in an unfulfilling, soul-crushing existence. Theodore's assistant confirming he was expecting her call is a validation that transcends a mere job offer. It signifies that she was seen, she was valued, and her potential was recognized long before she even dared to believe in it herself. The next day, Simone called in sick, spending the morning carefully choosing an outfit, trying to cover the dark circles under her eyes. The address was a tall glass building in the financial district, all marble and polished steel. She felt completely out of place walking up to the reception desk. On the 23rd floor, Rebecca, a warm woman in her 50s, greeted her. "Mr. Whitmore is running a few minutes behind. Can I get you some water?" Simone sat in a plush chair, crystal glass in hand, looking around at the obvious wealth and power. What was she doing here? She didn't belong in places like this anymore. This internal dialogue. What was she doing here? She didn't belong in places like this anymore. Perfectly captures the psychological scars left by her divorce. Julian hadn't just stripped her of her home and finances. He'd stripped her of her confidence, making her believe she no longer deserved to be in spaces of power and influence. It's a common insidious side effect of emotional abuse, where self-doubt becomes so deeply ingrained that even when presented with an opportunity, the imposter syndrome takes over. However, the external trappings of the office, the quiet elegance, the professionalism, also subtly start to reshape her perception, planting the seeds of belonging she desperately needs. Rebecca led her into Theodore's office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Theodore looked exactly as she remembered, white hair, sharp eyes, quiet authority. "Miss Clark, thank you for coming." He gestured to a chair. "I was starting to think you wouldn't call," he said with a slight smile. "Cold feet, something like that," Simone admitted. "I wasn't sure if you were serious." "I'm always serious about business." Theodore was direct. "I'm 82 years old. I've built an empire, and I want to simplify. I still host events, but I'm tired of dealing with large companies who don't understand what I want. That night at my dinner party, I watched you work. You were efficient, professional, and observant. When you saw a problem, you handled it decisively. Those are exactly the qualities I need in a personal event coordinator." Simone, touched, admitted her lack of formal training, her experience limited to managing her home, helping friends, and the catering company. "Don't undersell yourself, Miss Clark," Theodore corrected. "I did my research. Your boss, Mr. Rodriguez, says you're the best worker he has. Reliable, creative, clients always comment positively." Simone was surprised. "You called Mr. Rodriguez?" "I always do my due diligence. I also learned some other things about you. You were recently divorced. Your ex-husband was Julian Banks, senior sales manager at Peterson Industries. The divorce settlement was minimal, leaving you in a difficult financial position. You've been living in a studio apartment and working for minimum wage, despite a college degree in communications, and several years of experience managing complex social situations." Simone's face flushed. Theodore had done his research, truly. "I told you I'm serious about this. I want to know who I'm hiring." His expression softened. "I also know what it's like to start over with nothing. I grew up poor, built my first business with money I saved from working 2 jobs. I understand what it means to struggle." He slid a folder across the desk. "This is the position I'm offering. You would coordinate all my personal events. The pay is $80,000 a year to start, with full benefits and a performance bonus structure." $80,000. Her current job paid barely $24,000. She opened the folder with shaking hands. "This is incredibly generous." "It's what the work is worth," Theodore corrected. "There's one more thing. The job comes with an apartment. A 2-bedroom, much nicer than where you're currently living. Rent-free as part of your compensation package." Simone couldn't speak. It was too good to be true. "Why me?" she whispered. "You could hire someone with much more experience." Theodore looked out the window. "My wife died 5 years ago. Cancer. She planned all our events brilliantly. Since she's been gone, I've hired 3 coordinators, but none understood what I wanted. They were professional, but there was no heart. When I watched you at that dinner party, you reminded me of her. Not in appearance, but in the way you carried yourself. Dignity, kindness, strength. My wife would have done exactly what you did with that water pitcher." Tears welled in Simone's eyes. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll take the job," Theodore said simply. "Give me 6 months. If you're not happy, or I'm not satisfied, we part ways amicably, and I'll write you a reference that will get you any job you want. But I think we'll work well together, Miss Clark." Simone looked at the offer, a lifeline. "I accept," she said. "When do I start?" "How about Monday? That gives you time to give notice and move into your new apartment. Rebecca will handle all the details." They shook hands. Simone felt like she was shaking hands with her future. Leaving Theodore's office an hour later, with keys to a new apartment and a sense of possibility, she felt different. For the first time since Julian destroyed her life, maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. This interview is a masterclass in discerning true value. Theodore Whitmore isn't just a billionaire. He's a sage, a man who sees beyond superficialities and recognizes intrinsic worth. His due diligence isn't about credentials on paper. It's about understanding Simone's character, her history, and her struggles. He connects with her not through pity, but through shared experience, revealing his own humble beginnings and empathy. This is a profound difference from Julian, who judged Simone on superficial metrics, her appearance, her perceived interestingness. Theodore, in contrast, sees her resilience, her kindness, her quiet strength, and her sharp instincts. His comparison of Simone to his late wife is particularly poignant, highlighting that he sees in her the qualities he cherished most, qualities that transcend age or background. This isn't just a job offer, it's an act of profound validation and belief, extended to someone who had been systematically dismantled and deemed worthless. The rent-free apartment isn't just a perk, it's a foundational step towards rebuilding Simone's security, a stable base from which she can truly begin to heal and thrive. This pivotal moment emphasizes that true wealth isn't just about money, but about the profound human connections and opportunities that can change a life's trajectory forever. It underscores the universal truth that one person's belief can be the most powerful catalyst for another's transformation. Simone's new apartment was on the 10th floor of a renovated building downtown. When Rebecca handed her the keys, Simone expected modest, but what she found took her breath away. High ceilings, large windows, a proper bedroom with a door, a full kitchen, a living room big enough for real furniture, a bathroom with a tub. After 8 months in a dingy studio, this felt like a palace. The apartment was furnished with quality pieces. Simone walked through the space, half afraid she might wake up and find it was all a dream. That weekend, she moved her meager belongings. Everything fit in 2 car trips. It was humbling, but also freeing. She was starting fresh, building something that belonged only to her. This is a beautiful and quiet moment of reclaiming dignity. The contrast between her former studio and this new apartment is stark, symbolizing not just a financial upgrade, but a significant emotional and psychological shift. A proper bedroom with a door that closed and a living room big enough for real furniture are not trivial details. They represent boundaries, space, and the possibility of creating a home that nurtures, rather than diminishes, her spirit. The act of moving her few belongings, while humbling, is also an act of liberation. It signifies shedding the weight of her past and embracing the blank slate of a new beginning. It's about rebuilding from the ground up, with intention and autonomy, something she hadn't experienced in years. This sense of starting fresh, with newfound agency, is a powerful and universally resonant theme for anyone who has had to pick up the pieces of their life. Monday morning, Simone, nervous but excited, headed to Theodore's office. Rebecca showed her the systems, calendars, and contacts. Theodore had 6 months of events scheduled. Mr. Whitmore is particular but fair, Rebecca explained. He knows what he likes, but he also trusts the people he hires. If he gave you this job, it's because he believes you can do it. Simone's first project was a dinner party in 2 weeks. Theodore called her into his office to discuss his vision. "Elegance without pretension," he said. "Good food, good wine, good conversation, nothing flashy or trendy, just quality." They spent an hour going over details: flowers, music, timing. Theodore had opinions, but also listened to Simone's suggestions, often nodding approvingly. "You have good instincts," he said. "I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with." The dinner party was a success. Simone worked for days, and everything came together beautifully. Theodore caught her eye during the main course and gave her a small nod of approval that made her want to cry with relief. After that first success, Simone threw herself into her work. She coordinated a charity auction that raised twice the expected amount. She planned a birthday celebration for Theodore's oldest friend that brought the elderly man to tears. She handled a last-minute venue change for a business dinner flawlessly. She was good at this work, and she loved it. For the first time in years, Simone felt like she was using her brain and skills for something meaningful. Every morning, she woke up excited to go to work instead of dreading it. This period of Simone's life is a profound testament to the healing power of purpose and competence. After years of feeling invisible and devalued, actively engaging her intellect and skills in a meaningful way becomes a powerful antidote to her past trauma. The small nod of approval from Theodore isn't just a professional affirmation. It's a profound validation of her worth, a stark contrast to Julian's constant criticism. This isn't merely about achieving professional success, it's about reclaiming her identity, rebuilding her confidence brick by brick. The joy she finds in her work, the excitement of waking up each morning, reflects a deeper internal shift, a transformation from a woman defined by her heartbreak to a woman defined by her capabilities and purpose. This is a journey that many who have faced similar setbacks can relate to, finding solace and strength in the deliberate act of building something new and meaningful. But it wasn't just the work that made her happy. It was Theodore himself. Over the months, they developed an easy rapport. He treated her like an equal, always asking for her opinions, taking her suggestions seriously. He told her stories about building his business, about his late wife, his failures and successes. "You remind me of myself when I was younger," he said one afternoon, hungry to prove yourself, determined not to let circumstances define you. "I'm just trying to do a good job," Simone said. "You're doing more than a good job. You're building something." Theodore then asked her, "What do you want from life? 5 years from now, what does success look like?" No one had asked her that in years. When married to Julian, her dreams were about their shared future. After the divorce, survival was her only goal. "I want to never feel powerless again," she said slowly. "I want security. I want to know that no one can take everything from me the way Julian did." Theodore nodded thoughtfully. "Financial security is important, but it's not everything. What about fulfillment? Purpose?" "I don't know," Simone admitted. "I'm still figuring that out." "That's fair. You're rebuilding. That takes time." He smiled. "For what it's worth, I think you have more potential than you realize. You're smart, capable, and you have integrity. Those qualities will take you far if you let them." Simone's eyes stung with tears. "Thank you. That means a lot, especially coming from you." "I mean it," Theodore said firmly. "I don't give empty compliments." This mentorship relationship with Theodore is the beating heart of Simone's transformation. Theodore is not just a boss. He is a profound guide, a surrogate father, and a mirror reflecting Simone's untapped potential. His question, "What do you want from life?" is revolutionary for Simone, forcing her to look beyond survival and to articulate a vision for her own future, separate from any man or past. Her answer, "I want to never feel powerless again," is a powerful declaration, born from the crucible of her suffering. It's a universal cry for agency, for control over one's own destiny. Theodore's gentle push for fulfillment and purpose shows his profound understanding that true wealth extends far beyond monetary value. He's teaching her to think like a builder, not just an employee, to see her inherent worth. His belief in her, expressed so firmly and without empty compliments, is the balm her wounded spirit desperately needed. It's a testament to the fact that sometimes the greatest gift we can receive is someone else's unwavering faith in us, especially when we've lost faith in ourselves. This mentorship is not just professional development. It's emotional and spiritual rehabilitation, laying the groundwork for an empire she doesn't even know she's destined to inherit. As the months went by, Theodore began including Simone in more than just event planning. He invited her to business meetings, asking for her perspective on presentations and proposals. He introduced her to his associates, making it clear she was more than just his assistant. "This is Simone Clark. She has one of the sharpest minds in this room. You should listen to her." He began teaching her about his businesses, hotels, real estate, investment portfolio, explaining how he'd built his empire, the risks, the lessons. Simone absorbed it all, asking questions, taking notes. "Why are you teaching me all this?" she asked him one day. Theodore looked at her seriously. "Because you're capable of understanding it, and because knowledge is power. The more you understand about how wealth is built and maintained, the better equipped you'll be to build your own." This is a deliberate, strategic investment in Simone, far beyond the scope of an event planner's role. Theodore is not just teaching her about business. He's teaching her about power, about agency, about navigating a world where she was once dismissed. He's building her intellectual and emotional resilience, preparing her for leadership. The mantra, "knowledge is power," is central here. It's the antidote to the powerlessness she felt after Julian took everything. Theodore is actively dismantling the societal expectation that a woman's value is purely domestic or ornamental, instead elevating her intellectual capabilities and strategic thinking. He's not just giving her a fish, he's teaching her how to fish, how to build an entire fishing fleet, and how to command the waters. This is the profound difference between simply getting a job and receiving true empowerment. One evening, about 8 months into her job, Simone was working late in Theodore's office when he came in with 2 cups of tea. "Take a break," he said. "You've been at this for 4 hours straight." Simone accepted the tea gratefully. "It will be perfect," Theodore assured her. "You always deliver perfection." He then asked her something personal, if she ever heard from her ex-husband. Simone explained she had blocked him and his social media, and as far as she knew, he was happy. "And how do you feel about that?" Theodore asked gently. "Honestly, I don't feel much of anything anymore," Simone admitted. "At first I was devastated, then angry. But now I just don't care. He's not part of my life, and I've moved on." "Have you?" Theodore asked. "Moved on?" "I think so. I'm not the same person I was when I was married to him. That woman was lost and small. She let someone else define her worth." Simone met Theodore's eyes. "I'm not that woman anymore." Theodore smiled. "No, you're certainly not. You've become someone remarkable, Simone. I hope you see that." "I'm trying to," she said softly. This conversation is the crucial marker of Simone's emotional healing and profound growth. Her declaration, "I don't feel much of anything anymore," isn't a sign of callousness, but of true emotional liberation. Indifference in this context is the ultimate form of moving on, a powerful signal that her past pain no longer holds her captive. She articulates the stark difference between who she was, lost and small, letting someone else define her worth, and who she has become. This self-awareness, this reclaiming of her identity, is the most valuable currency she's earned. Theodore's gentle affirmation, "You've become someone remarkable," serves as external validation of the internal transformation she has undergone. It's a powerful narrative for anyone grappling with a painful past, demonstrating that true healing isn't about forgetting, but about transcending, about refusing to let the past define your future. Theodore's health began declining around the 1-year mark. He moved slower, tired more easily. One day, Simone found him with his head in his hands, concern etched on her face. "Theodore, are you okay?" He looked up, and Simone saw something she'd never seen in his eyes. Fear. "I'm fine, just tired." "You should see a doctor." "I have many doctors," he sighed. "Simone, come in and close the door." She did, her heart pounding. "I have cancer," he said bluntly. "Pancreatic. They caught it late. Doctors have given me 6 months, maybe a bit more." Simone felt punched in the chest. "No, there must be something they can do." "I'm 83 years old. The treatment would be worse than the disease at this point. I've had a good life, Simone. A long life. I'm not afraid of what's coming." Tears streamed down Simone's face. "But I just found you. You're like a father to me." "And you're like a daughter to me," Theodore said, his own eyes damp. "That's actually something I wanted to talk to you about." Over the next few weeks, Theodore continued working, albeit at a slower pace. He spent more time telling Simone about his vision for his businesses, his hopes for his legacy. He introduced her to his lawyers and board of directors, making it clear she was someone they should respect and listen to. "I don't have children," he told her one evening. "My wife and I tried for years. When she died, I thought my legacy would just be my businesses. But then I met you, and I realized that legacy can be about more than blood." Simone didn't fully understand what he meant, but she was too worried about his health to ask questions. She just tried to make his days easier, to bring him joy, to be the daughter he'd never had. What she didn't know was that Theodore had already made his decision. He'd watched her for over a year, seen her character, her strength, her integrity, seen her learn and grow, and he decided his empire should be hers. This revelation of Theodore's terminal illness is a poignant and heartbreaking turn, yet it solidifies the depth of his connection with Simone. His acceptance of his mortality, combined with his paternal affection for her, elevates their relationship beyond professional to deeply personal. Theodore's wisdom shines through as he frames legacy not just as biological lineage, but as a passing of values, vision, and purpose to someone who embodies them. This redefinition of family to include chosen kinship is powerful, especially for Simone, who was so profoundly alone just a year prior. The fact that Theodore has already made his decision, meticulously observing and preparing Simone without her knowledge, highlights his strategic genius and profound belief in her. He wasn't just planning for his death. He was orchestrating a destiny, ensuring his life's work would be in the hands of someone truly worthy. It's a testament to the idea that some connections are so strong, so aligned in spirit, that they transcend conventional boundaries and even blood ties. This narrative thread is also a subtle nod to the idea that sometimes the universe provides a guardian angel figure precisely when you need it most, a person who sees your true light even when you cannot. Theodore Whitmore sat in his lawyer's office on a cold afternoon in late September, 2 months before the gala. His body ached, but his mind was sharp. "Are you absolutely certain about this, Theodore?" Walter Patterson, his lawyer of 30 years, asked. "This is an extraordinary step." "I've never been more certain of anything in my life," Theodore said firmly, "except maybe when I married my wife." Walter adjusted his glasses. "You're leaving your entire estate, valued at $4.7 billion, to an employee you've known for less than 2 years. You have cousins, Theodore. Distant family who could contest this." "Let them try," Theodore retorted. "My cousins have never cared about me or my wife. They only started calling after she died, and they only wanted money. I don't owe them anything." "What about your business associates, your board members? Some have been with you for decades." "They've been well compensated. They don't need my personal fortune." "Walter, I've built this empire over 50 years. I know what it takes to steward this kind of wealth and power. It takes integrity, vision, the ability to put principles over profit. How many of my business associates have those qualities?" Walter was silent. "Exactly," Theodore continued. "Most of them are good at making money, but they're not good people. They'd carve up my estate, sell off the pieces, and forget everything I've built within a year. Simone won't do that." "You sound very sure of her character." "I am. I've been watching her for 18 months. Walter, I've seen how she works, how she treats people, how she handles pressure and success." Theodore's voice softened. "She reminds me of my wife. The same strength wrapped in gentleness, the same intelligence people underestimate, the same moral compass that never wavers." "What about Miss Clark herself? Have you discussed this with her? Is she prepared to inherit and manage billions?" "No, she doesn't know. And she won't know until the will is read. I want her to have the chance to grieve me as a friend, not as a benefactor. I don't want our final months together to be complicated by money." "That's very kind, but it's also going to be an enormous shock for her." "Yes, it will be, but she can handle it. I've been preparing her without her even realizing it. All those business meetings, the lessons about my investments, the introductions to the right people, she's been learning. She's ready." This is Theodore's magnum opus, his final, most profound statement on what truly matters in life and legacy. His unwavering conviction, even against the practical concerns of his longtime lawyer, underscores his deep wisdom and his belief in a meritocracy of character over bloodline or conventional experience. His critique of his own business associates, good at making money but not good people, is a powerful commentary on the ethics of wealth and power, a stark contrast to Simone's unwavering integrity. Theodore's decision to keep Simone in the dark about the inheritance is both strategic and deeply compassionate. He wants her to experience genuine grief, unburdened by the complexities and expectations that come with immense wealth. This foresight, this gentle preparation through mentorship and education, highlights his genius not just as a businessman, but as a human being who deeply understood the impact of sudden change and wanted to equip Simone with the tools, not just the money, to navigate it. The comparison to his wife, the strength wrapped in gentleness, reinforces that he sees a holistic, profound quality in Simone that money alone cannot buy or replace. This part of the story offers a powerful message about legacy, about choosing to empower those who embody the values you wish to perpetuate, rather than simply passing on assets to those by birthright alone. "What if she doesn't want this responsibility?" Walter asked. "Then she can sell it all and live off the proceeds. But I don't think she will. Simone has something special in her. She's been lost and powerless, and now I'm giving her the means to never be lost or powerless again. I think she'll rise to meet this challenge." Walter looked at him for a long moment. "You really love her like a daughter, don't you?" "I do. She's the child my wife and I never had. And I'm going to give her the future she deserves." Theodore's voice was firm. "Draw up the papers, Walter. Make it ironclad. No loopholes for greedy relatives or business associates. Every penny goes to Simone, with provisions for her education and managing the estate, and a team of advisors to help her transition. Over the next few weeks, Walter and his team drafted the most comprehensive will they'd ever seen, with trusts, advisory boards, and safeguards to protect Simone. Theodore also made one other crucial decision. The will would be read publicly at his annual charity gala. He wanted the world to know. No doubt, no whispered accusations. Announced in front of hundreds of witnesses, including every business leader and society figure in the city. And if Theodore had planned correctly, her ex-husband Julian. Theodore had done his research on Julian Banks. He knew Julian had recently made senior management at Peterson Industries. He knew Julian and his new wife, Brooke, ran in social circles that would kill for an invitation to Theodore's gala. He knew they would come if invited, eager to network and be seen. And Theodore wanted them there. He wanted Julian to see what he'd thrown away. He wanted Julian to watch as the woman he discarded as worthless was revealed to be worth billions. It was petty, perhaps, for a man of Theodore's accomplishments, but he'd seen the pain in Simone's eyes. He'd seen how Julian had crushed her spirit and taken everything from her. Theodore wanted Julian to understand, in the most public way possible, that he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. "Make sure Julian Banks and his wife are on the guest list for the gala," Theodore told Rebecca. Rebecca looked surprised. "I don't think they've been to any of your events before." "No, but they've been trying for years. His company does business with some of my associates. Send them a personal invitation. Make them feel important." Theodore also had to plan his death carefully. He didn't want to die alone in a hospital. He wanted dignity, peace. His doctors agreed to help manage his pain at home. But first, the gala. He had to live long enough for the gala. This is where Theodore's strategic brilliance and profound empathy for Simone culminate in a masterstroke of poetic justice. His meticulous planning isn't just about ensuring Simone's financial future, it's about her emotional vindication. The decision to invite Julian and Brooke isn't petty revenge. It's a carefully orchestrated public reckoning. Theodore understands that true healing often requires a definitive closure, a clear demonstration that the person who inflicted such pain ultimately lost something immeasurably valuable. This act of inviting Julian and Brooke serves as a powerful commentary on the nature of consequences and the difference between genuine value and superficial status. Julian, who valued Simone so little, will be forced to confront the colossal error of his judgment in the most humiliating way possible. This isn't just a story about inheritance. It's about a wise man teaching a powerful, albeit painful, lesson to those who mistook kindness for weakness and character for compliance. It's a beautifully crafted act of empowerment for Simone, ensuring that her moment of triumph is witnessed by those who once made her feel invisible. This deliberate planning, even extending to the timing of his own passing, showcases Theodore's profound commitment to Simone's ultimate well-being and justice. One evening, about a month before the event, Theodore called Simone into his office. She came in, mind on gala details. "Sit down, Simone. Forget about the gala details for a moment." She looked worried. "Are you feeling okay?" "I'm fine. Or as fine as I can be, anyway." Theodore smiled. "I want to talk to you about something important. I need you to promise me something." "Anything," Simone said immediately. "After I'm gone, I need you to be brave. I need you to trust that I knew what I was doing, even if it doesn't make sense at first. Can you promise me that?" Simone's eyes filled with tears. "Theodore, please don't talk like that. You're going to be around for a long time still." "We both know that's not true." He took her hand. "Listen to me. You've become so much stronger over these past months. You've grown into someone remarkable. I'm proud of you, Simone. I'm proud to know you." "You've given me everything," Simone said, crying now. "This job, this apartment, this chance to rebuild my life. I'll never be able to repay you." "You already have. You've given an old man purpose in his final year. You've made me feel like I have family again." Theodore squeezed her hand. "Now, I need you to do something for me. I need you to make this gala the best event you've ever planned. It's my last one, and it needs to be perfect." "It will be, I promise." "I know it will. And Simone." He waited until she met his eyes. "Wear something spectacular. You deserve to shine." Simone left his office, wiping her eyes, and Theodore sat back, exhausted but satisfied. Everything was in place. The will, the gala, Julian's invitation. He just had to make it to the gala date. 2 nights before, Theodore died peacefully in his sleep. Rebecca called Simone with the news. Simone sat in her apartment, feeling like the world had stopped spinning. Theodore was gone. She cried for hours. When the tears finally stopped, she thought about his final request. He'd wanted the gala to go on. He'd wanted it to be perfect. He'd made her promise to be brave. Rebecca called back. The gala would proceed. Theodore had left a letter for Simone. It arrived by courier. "My dear Simone," it began in Theodore's neat handwriting. "If you're reading this, then I'm gone and you're probably crying. Stop crying. You look terrible when you cry." Simone laughed through her tears. "The gala must happen. I know you're grieving, but this event is more important than you realize. Trust me one last time. Wear the dress Rebecca picked out for you. Wear the diamond necklace I gave you last month. Hold your head high, and when my will is read, remember that you deserve everything you're about to receive. You've earned it through your character, your work, and your heart. Be brave, my dear girl. Be strong and build a future that would make your old friend proud. With all my love, Theodore." Simone folded the letter, holding it to her chest. She didn't understand the will, but she understood this gala was Theodore's final gift, and she would make it perfect. She wiped her eyes, straightened her shoulders, and got back to work. She had a gala to finish planning, a spectacular dress to wear, and a promise to keep. Julian and Brooke had already confirmed their attendance, utterly oblivious to what awaited them. This emotional climax of Theodore's final wishes and Simone's promise is incredibly powerful. His letter is a masterpiece of mentorship, combining tough love with profound affection. The instruction to "stop crying, you look terrible when you cry," is a moment of levity amidst grief, reminding Simone of his unique personality and preparing her for the public spectacle. The emphasis on the gala's importance and the specific instructions about the dress and necklace highlight the symbolic weight of the upcoming event. Theodore isn't just passing on wealth. He's orchestrating Simone's public coronation, ensuring she enters her new chapter not as a broken widow, but as a confident, deserving heir. His words, "You've earned it through your character, your work, and your heart," are the ultimate validation, a counter-narrative to Julian's earlier dismissals. It's a testament to the idea that true strength is forged in adversity and true deservingness is built on integrity. The morning after Theodore's death, Simone woke up feeling hollowed out, but Theodore's words, "Be brave, my dear girl," echoed in her head. She went to his office. Rebecca, red-eyed but composed, informed her that the board members wanted to meet. Simone stood firm. "Theodore wanted this event to happen. We're going forward." When one board member questioned the point, Simone, surprising herself with the steadiness in her voice, said, "The point is that this was important to him, and I'm going to make sure his wishes are honored." The next 48 hours were a blur of final preparations, using work to keep grief at bay. On the afternoon before the gala, Rebecca called Simone into her office, revealing a garment bag. Inside was an emerald green silk dress that made Simone gasp. "This must have cost a fortune," Simone breathed. "Theodore wanted you to have it," Rebecca said, smiling through tears. "He picked it out himself. He said you needed to shine." There was also a jewelry box with the diamond necklace Theodore had given her and matching earrings. "He thought of everything," Simone whispered. That evening, Simone tried on the dress. It fit perfectly. She barely recognized the woman in the mirror. This wasn't the broken, invisible woman from 2 years ago. This was someone stronger, someone who belonged in rooms full of powerful people. She thought of Julian and Brooke, whose names she'd seen on the guest list. Theodore had asked her, "Don't you think it's time for them to see who you've become?" Simone had agreed, despite the anxiety. The night before the gala, she couldn't sleep. She sat by her window, making a silent promise to Theodore. "I'll make tomorrow perfect for you, and I'll be brave, whatever that means. I promise." This pre-gala period is a testament to Simone's profound resilience and her commitment to Theodore's legacy. Her quiet strength in dealing with the board, asserting Theodore's wishes, demonstrates her growing leadership and conviction. The emerald dress and diamond jewelry aren't just accessories. They are symbols of her transformation, an outward manifestation of the inner power she has cultivated. The reflection in this mirror is not merely cosmetic, it's a profound self-recognition, a woman reclaiming her identity and stepping into her destiny. The thought of Julian and Brooke, initially a source of anxiety, now transforms into a quiet resolve. This isn't about revenge. It's about a public affirmation of her worth, a powerful statement of self-reclamation. Her sleepless night and silent promise underscore the weight of the moment, confirming that this is not just an event, but the culmination of a deeply personal journey, a tribute to the man who saved her. The day of the gala dawned. Simone arrived at the Grand Imperial Hotel, overseeing the final setup. Flowers, sparkling chandeliers, fine china, everything beautiful. At her apartment, she took her time getting ready. She styled her hair, did her makeup carefully, put on the emerald dress and diamond jewelry. In the mirror, she saw confidence. Her phone buzzed. "Looking forward to tonight, Julian." Simone stared at the message, a text from an unknown number. Julian must have gotten her number from the event information. She deleted it, blocked the number. Julian had no right to contact her. Tonight wasn't about him, it was about Theodore. Simone arrived back at the hotel, greeting guests professionally. At 7:15, Julian and Brooke walked in, like they owned the place. Julian, in an expensive suit, his arm linked with Brooke, in a designer red dress. Simone's heart pounded, but her face remained calm. She watched them scan the room, looking for important people. Julian's gaze swept over her once, then stopped, eyes widening slightly. He'd recognized her. Simone turned away. She had work to do. She saw him pointing her out to Brooke, whispering, "Let them talk. Let them wonder." Simone had more important things to focus on. At 8 o'clock, the ballroom doors closed, guests seated. The lights dimmed. Mr. Patterson walked to the stage. The room grew quiet. Simone stood near the back, hands clasped. This was it, the moment Theodore had planned for. Whatever was about to happen, she needed to be brave. She took a deep breath and waited for her world to change. This re-entry into the gala, now with the full weight of Theodore's plan resting on Simone's shoulders, is charged with an electric tension. Her meticulous preparation, her poised demeanor, and her internal resolve are all on display. The simple act of deleting Julian's text and blocking his number is a powerful demonstration of her reclaimed agency. It's not just an administrative task, it's a symbolic severing of the last remaining ties to a painful past, a definitive statement that he no longer holds any sway over her. Julian's delayed recognition and subsequent whispering with Brooke underscores his superficiality and their ignorance, setting them up perfectly for the impending shock. Simone's calm exterior, despite her pounding heart, highlights her incredible growth. She is no longer the invisible woman, but a formidable presence, ready to step into the spotlight Theodore meticulously crafted for her. This entire sequence is a masterclass in building anticipation, setting the stage for a dramatic revelation that will forever alter the lives of everyone in the room. The ballroom fell silent as Walter Patterson walked to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, a very important announcement regarding Mr. Theodore Whitmore's estate." The crowd murmured. "As many of you know, Mr. Whitmore passed away peacefully in his sleep 2 nights ago." The murmuring grew louder. Simone saw sadness and calculating interest. Theodore had been right. Some cared for him, others for his wealth. "Mr. Whitmore left very specific instructions for tonight," Walter continued. "He wanted his will to be read publicly at this gala. Transparency was important, and he wanted no confusion about his final wishes." Now the room was completely silent, tense with anticipation. Everyone wanted to know who would inherit billions. Simone glanced at Julian, watching intently. Walter pulled out a thick document. "I'll read the relevant portion now. These are Mr. Whitmore's exact words, recorded and witnessed by multiple attorneys 6 months ago." 6 months ago. Simone's mind raced. Why then? "I, Theodore James Whitmore, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. I leave the entirety of my estate to Miss Simone Clark." For a moment, Simone thought she'd heard wrong. The name couldn't be hers. It made no sense. But the room erupted. Gasps, loud talking, people standing, cameras flashing. News reporters Theodore had invited. Everyone looked around, trying to find Simone Clark. Walter kept reading, his voice rising. Miss Clark has demonstrated over the past 2 years the character, integrity, and wisdom necessary to steward this fortune responsibly. She has been like a daughter to me, and I trust her completely with my legacy. Simone couldn't move. She stood frozen against the wall, breath coming in short gasps. Theodore had left her everything, his entire empire. "The estimated total value of this estate," Walter said, now looking directly at Simone, "is $4.7 billion. $4.7 billion. The words didn't make sense. They were too big. Simone felt like she was underwater. People were turning, pointing at her. Security guards moved toward her. Rebecca appeared at her elbow, tearful but smiling. "Come on," Rebecca said gently. "You need to go to the front." This is the moment of apotheosis, the shattering of the old reality and the explosive birth of the new. The careful build-up, the collective anticipation, all culminating in a revelation that defies all expectations. Simone's initial disbelief is perfectly natural. The magnitude of $4.7 billion is truly staggering, almost abstract. The detailed description of the crowd's reaction, the gasps, the murmurs, the flashing cameras, emphasizes the public, undeniable nature of this transformation. Julian and Brooke's stunned faces are the ultimate payoff, the visual representation of their world being irrevocably altered by their own past cruelty. This isn't just a change in Simone's financial status. It's a complete overhaul of her identity in the eyes of the world, and more importantly, in her own eyes. The invisible woman is now undeniably visible, undeniably powerful. Simone let herself be guided through the crowd, people moving aside, their faces a mix of shock, confusion, anger, excitement. She felt their eyes like physical pressure. Then she saw Julian's face. He was standing, mouth agape, utterly white with shock. Brooke next to him, equally stunned, hand over her mouth. Julian's eyes met Simone's as she walked past, and she saw it all. Disbelief, regret, the dawning realization of what he'd thrown away. He'd discarded her like garbage, taken everything, left her with nothing, and now she was worth billions. Simone didn't slow down. She didn't smile or acknowledge him. She just kept walking toward the stage, head high, posture straight. She was done being invisible. Walter met her at the stage stairs, helping her up. The lights were bright. Her hands shook as Walter handed her a leather-bound folder. "This is for you," he said quietly. "Theodore wanted you to have this tonight. Read it later when you're alone." Walter then announced that Mr. Whitmore had left a video message. The lights lowered, a screen descended, and Theodore's face appeared. Simone bit her lip to keep from crying out. He looked tired, but his eyes were warm, full of life. "Hello, everyone!" Theodore's voice filled the ballroom. "If you're watching this, then I'm gone. And you all just found out that I left everything to Simone Clark. I imagine some of you are confused, some are angry, and some are wondering who she is." A ripple of nervous laughter went through the crowd. "Simone is my friend, my family, the daughter my wife and I never had." Theodore's voice was firm, allowing no argument. "Over the past 2 years, I've watched her rebuild herself from nothing. I've seen her character tested repeatedly, and she's never compromised her integrity. She's smart, capable, kind, and strong, exactly the kind of person who should have power and wealth." Theodore paused, looking directly at the camera. "Some of you will think this is foolish, that I should have left my fortune to family members or business associates, but I've watched those people too, and most of them care more about money than people. Simone is different. She understands that wealth is a responsibility, not just a privilege." He smiled, so familiarly that Simone felt tears streaming down her face. "To Simone, if you're watching this, know that I'm proud of you. You've earned this. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone make you feel like you don't deserve it. Build a future that matters. Help people who need it, and be happy, my dear girl. That's all I want for you." The video ended. The screen went up, lights came back on. Simone stood on stage, tears running down her face, officially one of the richest women in the country. The room exploded with noise. Walter gestured for security to create a barrier around her. "We'll handle the press," he said. "You don't have to answer any questions tonight. Let's get you out of here." But before they could move, Julian pushed through the crowd. He looked desperate now, his shock replaced with calculation or regret. "Simone!" he called out. "Simone, wait! I need to talk to you!" Security moved to block him, but Julian kept pushing. "Please, Simone, it's me. We need to talk about this." Simone looked down at him from the stage. This man who had destroyed her life, told her she was boring, let herself go. This man who had taken everything. He wanted to talk to her now that she had billions. Simone spoke into the microphone, her voice carrying through the ballroom. "Security, please escort that man out. He's not welcome here." Julian's face went from desperate to angry. "You can't do this! We were married! We have history!" "We have nothing," Simone said coldly. "We're divorced. You made your choice 2 years ago. Now I'm making mine." Security guards took Julian's arms, pulling him toward the exit. He struggled, shouting, "Think about what you're doing. You need someone who knows you, someone you can trust." "I made mistakes, Simone, but we can work through them." Simone turned away. She wouldn't give him another second of her attention. Security hauled him out. Brooke had disappeared into the crowd, too embarrassed to face Simone. This dramatic confrontation is the culmination of Simone's journey of self-reclamation. Her public dismissal of Julian is not an act of petty revenge, but a powerful assertion of boundaries and self-respect. Her words, "You made your choice 2 years ago, now I'm making mine," are the ultimate mic drop, a definitive statement that she is no longer controlled by his narrative or his past actions. This is the moment where Simone fully steps into her power, not just as a billionaire heiress, but as a woman who has found her voice and defined her own worth. Theodore's video message, played just before, serves as the perfect foundation for her actions, articulating the very principles she embodies. It's a profound statement that true wealth isn't just about money, but about the integrity, character, and purpose that one carries into their new destiny. It's a lesson for anyone who has ever been wronged. The most powerful revenge is living well and on your own terms. "There's a private room set up for you," Walter said gently, leading her off the stage. "We need to discuss details, sign some papers, and get you away from the press." Simone nodded, feeling like she was floating. $4.7 billion. Theodore's empire, all hers. In the private room, Walter's team of lawyers explained everything: the scope of the inheritance, the properties, the businesses, the investment portfolios. It was overwhelming. "Theodore set up a transition team to help you," Walter explained. "Financial advisors, business managers, legal counsel. You won't have to handle this alone. He made sure you'd have support." "Why?" Simone whispered. "Why did he do this?" Walter smiled. "Because he loved you like a daughter. Because he believed in you. And because he wanted to make sure you'd never be powerless again." Simone opened the leather folder Theodore had left. Inside, a handwritten letter, pages long, explaining his decision. He detailed everything: how he'd watched her at that first dinner party, how he'd tested her character, how she'd reminded him of his wife, how he'd come to love her. "You deserve a life of security and purpose," the letter said. "You deserve never to feel invisible again. Use this wealth wisely, my dear Simone. Help people, build things that matter, and don't let your past define your future. You are so much more than what Julian made you believe you were." Simone held the letter to her chest and cried, not from sadness this time, but from overwhelming gratitude and love for the man who'd saved her life in every way that mattered. Outside, she could hear the gala continuing, people talking excitedly. Her life had just changed forever. Tomorrow, she would be famous. But tonight, in this quiet room, Simone let herself feel the magnitude of what Theodore had given her. Not just wealth, but freedom, power, the ability to never be erased or invisible again. She dried her eyes, straightened her shoulders, and looked at Walter. "What do I need to do next?" The media storm started before Simone woke up the next morning. Her phone exploded with notifications. Security, arranged by Theodore, took over immediately, changing her numbers, setting up protection. News vans parked outside her apartment. Walter and his team moved her to a penthouse apartment Theodore had included in his will, with actual security and privacy. "We'll handle the media," Walter assured her. "You don't have to talk to anyone until you're ready." The next few weeks were a blur of meetings, paperwork, and learning. Simone met with Theodore's business managers, who walked her through every aspect of the empire: real estate, hotel chains, technology, investments, charitable foundations. It was almost incomprehensible. But Simone had been paying attention during those months with Theodore. She understood more than anyone expected, asked smart questions, made informed decisions. The business managers, initially skeptical, slowly began to respect her. "You're a quick learner," one admitted. "Theodore chose well." Simone threw herself into understanding every detail, working 12-hour days, driven by a need to prove she deserved this opportunity. But it wasn't all work. One afternoon, 3 weeks after the gala, Simone sat in Theodore's old office, now her office, and made a decision. She called Walter. "I want to start a foundation in Theodore's name," she said, "focused on helping women rebuild their lives after divorce or domestic situations, job training, housing assistance, legal aid, everything they need to start over." "That's a wonderful idea," Walter said. "Theodore would have loved that." "Call it the Theodore Whitmore Second Chances Foundation," Simone said, thinking of the woman she'd been 2 years ago. "I want to help people who feel like their lives are over. I want to show them that second chances are possible." The foundation launched 2 months later with a massive endowment from Simone's personal fortune. The press covered it extensively. Suddenly, Simone wasn't just the mystery heiress. She was the philanthropist, the businesswoman, the success story. This final act of creating the Theodore Whitmore Second Chances Foundation is Simone's ultimate triumph, transforming her personal pain into a powerful, enduring legacy of compassion and empowerment. It's not just about spending her billions. It's about giving back in a way that directly addresses the vulnerabilities she herself experienced. This foundation is a direct counterpoint to Julian's cruelty, an act of generosity that rebuilds what he destroyed. It signifies that Simone's wealth is not merely for personal gain, but for purposeful impact, echoing Theodore's own belief that wealth is a responsibility, not just a privilege. It's a message of hope, demonstrating that even from the ashes of betrayal and devastation, something profoundly good can be built. Meanwhile, Julian kept trying to contact her. Emails filtered by her assistant, attempts to approach her building, turned away by security. He even gave an interview to a gossip magazine, claiming their divorce had been amicable, that he'd always known she was special. Simone's legal team sent him a cease and desist letter. She had no interest in his attention or his regrets. One morning, Simone's assistant buzzed her office. "There's a Brooke Banks here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's important." Simone, surprised, assumed Brooke would stay away. "Send her in." Brooke walked in, looking tired, her makeup not quite covering the circles under her eyes. "Simone, thank you for seeing me," Brooke said nervously. "I have 5 minutes," Simone said coolly. "What do you want?" "I wanted to apologize for everything, for the affair, for hurting you, for all of it." Brooke twisted her hands. "I was young and stupid, and I thought I was in love. I didn't think about what I was doing to you." Simone leaned back, studying Brooke. She waited for anger, but felt nothing but indifference. "Okay," Simone said. "Is that all?" "I also wanted to ask." Brooke hesitated. "Things with Julian aren't good. He's obsessed with getting back in contact with you. He's not the man I thought he was. I'm thinking about leaving him. And I was hoping maybe your foundation could help me." Simone almost laughed at the audacity. "My foundation helps women who've been victimized, Brooke. You weren't a victim. You were an active participant in destroying someone else's life. The answer is no." "Please, Let me be clear," Simone said, her voice firm but not cruel. "I don't forgive you. I don't wish you harm, but I also don't owe you anything. You made your choices. Now you have to live with them, just like I had to live with the consequences of your choices." Brooke's eyes filled with tears. "I understand. I'm sorry for bothering you." After Brooke left, Simone felt free. These people had no power over her anymore. They were irrelevant. This encounter with Brooke is the ultimate definitive closure on Simone's past. Brooke's apology, while perhaps genuinely felt, is tainted by her subsequent request for aid, highlighting a self-serving motive. Simone's response is a powerful assertion of accountability and self-respect. She doesn't engage in anger or bitterness. Instead, she delivers a calm, firm truth. Actions have consequences, and while forgiveness might be a personal journey, support and obligation are not. Her refusal to help Brooke isn't cruel. It's a necessary act of self-preservation and a clear boundary against further manipulation. The feeling of freedom after Brooke leaves underscores Simone's complete emotional detachment from her past tormentors. They are no longer capable of inflicting pain or demanding her energy. This is a vital lesson in moving forward, recognizing when past harms are no longer active wounds, but simply old scars. 4 months after inheriting Theodore's fortune, Simone had settled into her role. She'd moved into the penthouse, furnished it, and created a home that truly felt hers. She attended business meetings, made investment decisions, and ran the foundation helping hundreds of women. She'd also started making changes to Theodore's empire, putting her own stamp on it, focusing on sustainability and social responsibility. Some of the old guard resisted, but Simone held firm. This was her company now, and she would run it according to her values. She'd also heard through the rumor mill that Julian and Brooke had divorced. Apparently, his obsession with Simone and Brooke's regret had torn them apart. Simone felt nothing when she heard the news. Their relationship wasn't her concern anymore. Her assistant buzzed. "There's a Dr. Nathan Cross here. You met at the charity event last month." Simone remembered Nathan Cross, a surgeon she'd talked to for over an hour about his work, laughing at his stories. He'd asked for her number, but she'd politely declined, still adjusting to her new life. "Send him in." Nathan walked in with an easy smile, warm brown eyes, casual confidence, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. "I hope this isn't too forward, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about our conversation. I wanted to ask you to dinner. No business, no networking. Just dinner with someone who'd like to get to know you better." Simone took the sunflowers, her favorite, though she'd never told him. "How did you know I like sunflowers?" "I didn't. I just thought they matched your smile." Nathan's eyes were kind, with no calculation. "So, what do you say? Dinner?" Simone thought about it. She'd been so focused on work and the foundation, but Nathan had talked to her at that fundraiser. Before he knew who she was or how much money she had, he'd been interested in her, the person. "Dinner sounds nice," she said, "but I should warn you, my life is complicated right now." "Everyone's life is complicated," Nathan said. "I still think you're worth the effort." Their first dinner was at a quiet restaurant. They talked for hours about everything except money and business. He told her about his dreams of opening a free clinic. She told him about her plans for the foundation, about Theodore, about the woman she used to be, and the woman she was becoming. "You're remarkable," Nathan said at the end of the night. "I hope you know that." "I'm starting to believe it," Simone said honestly. They started seeing each other regularly. Nathan never asked about her money. He paid for their dates and seemed genuinely uncomfortable when she tried to fund his clinic project personally. "I'll accept a donation from your foundation," he said with a smile. "But I'm not dating you for your money, Simone. I'm dating you because you make me laugh, because you're brilliant, and because I like who I am when I'm with you." 6 months after the gala, Simone stood in her office looking out at the city. Her city now, in a way. She'd built a life she never could have imagined. Purpose, power, security, freedom, friends, respected staff, valued business associates. Her phone buzzed. A text from Nathan. "Still on for tonight? I promise I'm cooking something edible this time." Simone smiled. She loved his humor, his kindness, the way he looked at her like she was the most interesting person in the world. "Looking forward to it," she texted back. As the sun set over the city, Simone thought about the past 2 years. The woman who'd been invisible at her own divorce, who'd cried alone in a studio apartment, who thought her life was over at 32. That woman was gone. In her place was someone stronger, wiser, more capable than she'd ever imagined. Someone who'd taken the most painful moment of her life and used it as fuel to become extraordinary. Simone picked up the photo of Theodore she kept on her desk. "I did it," she told his picture softly. "I'm building a future that matters. I hope you're proud." She could almost hear his reply. "I was always proud of you, my dear girl." Simone set down the photo and gathered her things. She had a dinner to get to, a man who made her happy to see, and a whole life ahead of her. A life full of possibilities, power, and purpose. A life where she would never be invisible again. Simone's journey offers profound lessons that resonate far beyond the glittering ballrooms of billionaires. First, it teaches us the resilience of the human spirit. Even at her lowest, broken, and utterly alone, Simone found the strength to simply show up. Her rock-bottom moment wasn't an end. It was a catalyst, a moment of deep, painful self-reflection that forged her inner strength. It reminds us that setbacks, no matter how devastating, don't define us unless we let them. They can instead be the fuel for an unimaginable transformation. Second, it underscores the power of true mentorship and belief. Theodore Whitmore didn't just give Simone money, he gave her a chance, he saw her potential, and he invested in her growth. His belief was a mirror that allowed Simone to finally see her own worth, a worth that Julian had tried so desperately to erase. This highlights the incredible impact one person can have on another's life, and the importance of seeking out or being such a mentor. Third, the story brilliantly illustrates the wide difference between superficial validation and genuine connection. Julian valued Simone for what she did for him, for fitting into his ideal picture. Nathan, in contrast, valued Simone for who she was, regardless of her wealth or status. It's a powerful reminder to build relationships on a foundation of mutual respect, shared values, and genuine interest in each other's souls, not just surface appearances or material benefits. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, Simone's story is about reclaiming your narrative and defining your own success. She refused to let her past betrayals or her financial destitution dictate her future. She used her experience to create the Theodore Whitmore Second Chances Foundation, turning her pain into purpose and becoming an advocate for others who find themselves in similar desperate situations. Her success isn't just in the billions she inherited, it's in the woman she became, strong, wise, compassionate, and forever visible. So, what's your takeaway? Perhaps it's to never let anyone diminish your worth. Perhaps it's to have the courage to ask for help or to be the help someone else desperately needs. Or perhaps it's simply to trust that even in your darkest hours, the possibility of a second chance, of an extraordinary transformation, is always just around the corner, waiting for you to be brave enough to seize it. Simone Clark proved that the invisible woman can, indeed, become unforgettable.